Thank you very much, Chairperson. I also join the people who are really not supporting this report. In fact, I would like to ask from the members from other parties if they do agree with this document consciously. They agree with the document. Secondly, we were with the members here and we were of the impression that they were legitimizing the committee, the work of the committee, and we work together. And this report sort of overturns the entire work of the committee, and we've got to relook at what they've written, of what the honorable members wrote. I was of the impression that we were to look into the findings. And we all had agreed with the 6 findings that were of the bullets. And lo and behold, we get this document with the specific members that wrote it, and I hope the other parties are agreeing with this, but that is their prerogative, but we don't support, I don't support this document, because they just did everything, revamped everything the way the honorable members decided to do so, because really there was nothing beautifying in that visit that we saw. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Breitenbach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Firstly, I'd like to agree with the Honourable Mulder that the document prepared in conjunction with all the parties in the committee should be read with this document. But secondly, there's nothing new in this document. It is largely the document that was tabled by Mr. Self, and everybody has seen it before. There's nothing new here. It wasn't anything that was done in secret. It's been around all the time. It was read. It's our view that it should be included in the report. And one of the reasons why we were forced to prepare a document of this nature is simply because this is an example today, but yesterday too. Every time we suggest something, they say no. It's just no, we're not going to do it. So, you know, one is left with very little choice.
Honourable members, I want to remind you that there was only at one instance where a vote had to take place, and it came to the people to be invited. At no other stage that a vote take place and parties managed to find each other, and a number of concessions were made yesterday on both sides. I can't recall, Honourable Breitenbach, that anything was just rejected out of hand, apart from those 2 instances where those discussions could not reach a conclusion and parties broke away. So just for the record, we are striving to find one another here. And my task as a chairperson is to facilitate a situation where we can find common ground. And I'll proceed by doing so. And I just wanted to clarify that to the meeting.
May I draw your attention to yesterday afternoon, Mr. Chair?
I didn't expect a response. I didn't expect a response. I was just saying that we'll conduct the meeting where we'll try to find one another. And as I said, a number of concessions were already made. The Honourable Gamede.
Thanks, Chair. I also want to add my voice in rejecting this document, just outright. I wonder if we're really discussing honestly or dishonestly, because we've all gone through the document page by page. And at a certain stage, when we reached findings or certain bullets, there was a suggestion that those items should be shifted to findings. And we're all together. And when we're continuing with all that, when it came to findings, then our colleagues in the opposition said they needed time to consider findings and recommendation. We're all together. Now, what I expected today was to see those findings and recommendations. Now, if Honorable Breitenbach says this document is the same as the one that was submitted by Honorable Self, I wonder then if it has got the ownership of the other minority parties, because that document was submitted as a party, as the DA. So that's another question. I think we all went to Nkandla. We all had observations. At Nkandla, most of us agreed on what we saw. Most of us, not all, definitely. And we had observations. Now, to come today to dispute all what we have seen and all what we have done, I just fail to understand. I think we need to move forward. These are our views. The bottom line is we don't want even a reference to that document. We reject the document, and we will present our findings and recommendations as the ANC based on what we've seen and done all these days. Thanks, Chair.
The Honourable September, followed by the Honourable Singh and the Honourable Mabinda.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, procedurally, if we look at how the meeting ended yesterday, I vividly remember that we stated we will then come back and we will discuss recommendations, findings, and so on. Now, the worrying point is what Honourable Breitenbach says. It then takes us away from what we have said yesterday. And that is, no, we never got the chance, and then look, what else must we do? And then this is in any event the same document. It then contradicts what Honourable Mulder says, and it takes us much further away then from how we ended the meeting yesterday. But maybe we should ask our honourable members to be frank with us and to tell us exactly where they are taking us to. Because quite frankly, if you just take the first page of the document, and even the way that the document is structured, you appear to be putting together a document as if you want to litigate. Now, that's very different from what you are explaining, Honourable Mulder. And so I think the path that we have walked with each other up to now, and the arguments that are being enunciated as to why you've decided to go into the direction that you did, it must be said that it's unfortunate that indeed it doesn't gel with the spirit of how we have been participating up to now. In fact, I thought that there would be quite a number of pages that would talk about the absolute condemnation. And I think that's what we probably have to discuss, should have discussed much more. Our joint condemnation of the fact that we should not tolerate corruption, and that many steps that has been taken in the previous committee's report, and maybe more so now, should have been the discussion and not. But to be open with us, be frank with us. Tell us you're going to court tomorrow morning. Tell us this is what you are intending, and that via Parliament you want to do all of these things. Because it does appear, and I think you are getting us extremely worried that you are rehashing things all over again, and that it does appear maybe not deliberately so, but it does appear that it comes across as a bit of, us being misled in what the intention shall be, and where we are supposed to be. I think that will help us, because then we know, what are we dealing with? Then we know this is what is everything. Just be open, be honest to say. Because I think if I remember the words that Honorable Maimane also said just a few hour or two ago, it then cements those things that you have said. Now, if that is the case, there's nothing else to say that we have been misled. It's unfortunate. And that certainly we can't see any basis why we then should discuss a report which from the first day we said this is not on, and that we should now take a different decision and say we now want to embrace it. For all those reasons, Chair, my suggestion would be I align myself with the honourable members that says we obviously can't accept this report and should reject it out hand. And that secondly, that we now should move to what we have agreed upon yesterday. And that is, can we now discuss recommendations? Can we now discuss findings and so on? And let's not waste each other's time here.
Honourable Singh.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. Just in terms of procedure, I think honourable members are speaking to the report that was tabled by the opposition parties. And all opposition parties are signatories to that document that are listed. Now, in terms of procedure, I see there's an outright rejection of that document in toto. By the same token, with the document that has been put together as ANC proposals for inclusion in the final report of the committee findings, this one here, also be placed before us for comment in a similar manner that this one is being done. Just want to ask that in terms of process, so that views can be expressed on this document as well.
You're at liberty to do so. I said that, maybe I mentioned it just before you came in,
Yes,
that both documents were received, and I asked now members to comment.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so members from different positions, you are free to do so.
Okay, sorry, Chair, I missed that. I was outside. Let me start off by saying that, yes, as far as is possible, we agreed that we must try and find each other. And you're quite correct, Honourable Chair, that we parted ways in terms of the votes when it came to who should be called here on one occasion. But for us, that was a very, very, very important parting of ways, because we believed that at that time, the process was not going to be credible in the sense that people who should be coming here and talking to their reports, and people who were vilified in the manner that they were done, where it was said that the public protector, if I may mention him, misled this committee, we as a committee did not really apply our minds and say, let's give those people an opportunity to come here before us. That is the argument that we put before, and that's what we voted on. And that's why I say it was a very, very crucial vote at that time, and a very, very crucial moment in the deliberations of this committee. Having said that, Chairperson, yesterday when we parted, we said, let us list our observations or findings. We met, all opposition parties met, and we decided to call it observations rather than findings. Now, honourable members, and I don't want to mention who, are saying that we should be condemning poor workmanship and the fact and some of the other issues. We've done that. If our document is looked at carefully, you will see prices were inflated, instances of poor workmanship, work appeared to be incomplete. All those responsible for deviation from the PFMA should be held accountable, etc., etc. So we have covered those issues that we actually saw and that we all agreed on. So it's not that we have not covered, but there are other observations that different members of the committee made themselves, and they wanted that included in this report, and we included it here as observations. If Honourable Mulder observed something that I didn't observe, then we wrote it down. If Honourable Binda or Chaisa saw something that Honorable Breitenbach, we wrote it down. So all our observations here are documented. Now, when we looked at the observations, wrote them down, and then we came to our recommendations. I mean, our recommendations is diametrically opposed to the recommendations here. I mean, and at the end of the day, this is what goes to the House, the recommendations. You either support or you don't support. And it's quite clear from our document that we do not support the report that was tabled by the Minister of Police in content and in substance. It's clear, whereas the ANC document doesn't even refer to that report at all. It makes different recommendations and doesn't refer to the report. It talks about recommending that the executive ensure that all necessary steps are undertaken to ensure that the safety of the head of the state and his family is not compromised. That's one recommendation. Second one, the Portfolio Committee of Public Works, Police and JSC on intelligence must ensure continuous monitoring of corrective actions to be taken by the relative national departments. And the third one is the committee recommends that the relevant departments and law enforcement authorities ensure the expeditious conclusion of civil, criminal, and disciplinary matters. We agree with that. But the House, in terms of the resolution, asked us to consider the report of the Minister of Police in terms of what his view was on security and non-security issues. Now, this doesn't say whether we agree or we don't agree with what he has said in his report, in his classification of security and non-security. So it's a bit unclear as to what you are saying in that document. But going back, Chair, when we did the observations and came to our recommendation, we believed that it was necessary to put it into a context. Hence the first part of the document. And I think yesterday it was mentioned that Honorable Self had tabled a document. We looked at that document, all of us. There are amendments made to that particular document. It is possible that the way it is drafted and presented is not the way Parliament would require it, but our proposal is that it should form part of the document, the report that's sent to Parliament, in the sense that it provides context. The other issues that we agreed to in the 7 pages, the 7 pages, we all agreed, we can't go back and say we disagree with it. We spent many, many hours agreeing on that, and we allowed each other concession. So we are saying that to give context to the observations and the recommendations, one needs to include more than just was included in those 7 pages, and hence the other pages that are here. So that's the manner in which we approached our work, Chairperson. But I just go back to the point, if we want to say we reject this, and then we consider this, then we will need to speak to this document as presented to us and see what views we have and see whether we can find each other in some way and take it from there. Thank you.
Just for me, as a question of clarity, Honorable Singh, I've read this document, and I see this document essentially consists of 22 pages, right? Of which 19 of these pages are is that the context and the background that you refer to? But isn't that what we agreed upon should not be in the report?
Chairperson, just to respond directly, I think it was said quite clearly from the Chair yesterday that whatever was submitted by Honourable Self would not be part of the report by the Chair. I don't think we had a debate on that. He said it can't form part of the report. But we felt, let's bring the matter back to us today and see whether we can put parts of it or exclude parts of it or whatever. But when we were told you can't have it in the report, we felt, no, it's an essential part of the report which gives context. And we can look at it. But to reject it outright in its entirety means then, if the majority view is that we reject this report that has been tabled, then we must consider this report and take it from there. But we are still hoping that one can look at this report.
No, I understand now where you're coming from. I'm with you. The Honourable Mabinda.
Yeah, thanks, Honourable Chair. In fact, I just want also to confirm that we are part of this report, and we have given an input to this report, as all the parties that are listed. And then I also want, Honourable Chair, to correct...
Honourable Mbinda, I'm sorry, can you just speak a little bit more clear? I can't follow you.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, can I also correct, what the honourable members of the ruling party are saying, more especially regarding to issue of wasting time. We cannot come here and spend all this time. We came here in good faith to engage. But what I have observed most of the time was that, as a person now, was that, the ruling party honorable members were just here to stretch their muscles. That's my observation. To show their strength, that they are in the majority. And when we were raising that, they thought that we are asking for favors, or maybe we are trying to question that, but that's what we have seen. Maybe we need to look at ourselves in the manner in which we handle these issues. You see, because we have made it very clear, Honorable Chair, that we are not here to rubber stamp the decisions of the ruling party. And this agreement that they keep on referring to, I don't understand where they get it from, because I have made it also clear even yesterday that I don't even understand the rationale behind these agreements or whatever, whether you call them consensus that they have agreed to. But what we are saying here is that this is the document that we feel very strongly that it should be considered seriously. And we are not saying they cannot stretch their muscles again, as they normally do. But it's the document, and this document, it's a reflection of what has transpired throughout. And we have expressed even the views that are in the document. Not once, more than once. And it is the document that we think we will live with. Whether they reject it in total or not, it's neither here nor there. But what is important is that it's the document that we feel very strongly that it's the document that we have submitted as the opposition party. Thanks.
The Honourable Mambashlala.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, firstly, I must make it very clear that thus far we have not stretched our muscle, and thus far we have not used our majority. And the fact that we are majority, we cannot be apologetic about it. It's the people of South Africa that put us into the position of majority here. So it can't be correct that we are reminded or blackmailed, about the fact that we are majority. It's a fact we are majority because South Africans felt that we should be majority and lead this country. Chair, honorable members are referring to a document, and I'm confused because when we adjourned here yesterday, all parties were given a responsibility to craft whether you call it findings or observations. For me, that's the same thing. And the recommendations, and that we submit all that to the office of the chairperson by 8 o'clock. Now, honorable members on the other side, they decide to take over the responsibility of the secretariat of this committee. Go and draft a report. That report, it can be a report of the committee, because the report of the committee is there already, and we have deliberated on it already. Now, what we are supposed to be doing today is to look into the recommendations, findings, or observations. Now, in the document which they have submitted, Chair, we can only look into the observations or findings which they are proposing, if they were submitted to the office as agreed yesterday, and leave everything else, because we are not going to look into it. The other parts of the document, I must be outright, Chair, and say we reject the other parts of the document which they submitted. We must look into the recommendations, findings, or observations as agreed. Now, what I want to bring into your attention, Chair, is that delaying tactics with the intention to collapse the work of the committee, we are not going to allow that. Because honorable members now are playing delaying tactics. Today, we are supposed to conclude the business of the committee and make it a point that everything is finished by tomorrow, right? Now, if honorable members, they are doing this with the intention that Part 12 of the rules book, which alludes to the Hoc Committee and how it seizes its responsibility, it's something that we are not going to allow. We are going to finish the task of the Hoc Committee and submit the report to Parliament on time. So I want to urge that, Chair, we deal with what we were mandated to do as parties and leave the responsibility of the secretariat of the committee to the secretariat of the committee. Thanks, Chair.
The Honourable Swart, followed by the Honourable Luama.
Chair, I think it's very clear we are not engaging in any delaying tactics, and it's very straightforward. We have provided what we thought was the document that was circulated as a background, and that is an introduction, as Mr. Singh has pointed out, and then the observations. So there's no problem. It follows on with where we were halfway through, and it's very clear that at a certain point we were going to part ways. It's very clear. Because if you look at the recommendations and the findings from the ANC, they accept the report of the Minister of Police, which exonerates the President. So, Chair, maybe we need to just reach the point now that we're not going to find each other.
So you're starting divorce proceedings.
Exactly. Regrettably, that is the point that we're going to, because we've been accused of bad faith and a lot of things, but has the ANC not done the same thing? From the word go, saying they're going to accept the Minister of Police's report. Have you not wasted our time as well? I'm not saying, I'm just putting a hypothetical question. A hypothetical question. Because the same could be said of the ANC. How can it be that, having been there, that every ANC member can say that the President did not benefit 1 cent? That cannot be so. And you appeal to our conscience. Similarly, I appeal to your conscience. Surely, you saw what happened in Parliament today. The President said he's awaiting the parliamentary process, rightly or wrongly. The eyes of South Africa are looking at this committee. And I'd appeal to us. But it seems that we are going to part ways. And it seems that at this stage, we will be set with what we would say are our observations. That is the crux. It's the observations. The introductory part is really neither here nor there. That's part of, we thought it would be helpful to insert that. But it's the observations and the findings. And it's very clear that we're going to part ways, and maybe we shouldn't, because it's not our intention. I said yesterday, it is not our intention to delay this matter. We want it finalized tomorrow. I've got lots of other things to deal with. But maybe, Chair, it's time to be frank and to say, well, let's then, is there any usage in going through each one of these and playing backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. Because I cannot accept the recommendation of the ANC that accepts the Minister of Police's report. And I'm sure, similarly, the ANC is not going to accept our observation that the President and his family have unduly benefited. That's our observation. So, Chair, I'm not formally moving anything. I'm just saying that this is something for us to consider. Thank you.
Honourable Tuama.
Thank you, Chairperson. First of all, I just want to make things very clear. As opposition parties, we have the right.
Speak into the mic, please.
Oh. Thank you.
Or use that rally voice of yours when you address your supporters.
No, Honorable Chairman, I'm starting to doubt whether or not I'm a member of Harang because I love it. Honorable Chair, I just want to make a few issues very clear. I think, honorable members from the ruling party, they must know that we have the right, as Harang SA, of course, to meet with DA or IFP or NFP or PAC to share, to consult, to persuade each other if we think we want to validate, if either informally or formally. So that should not be viewed another way. So if we have produced a report, I just want to call it a report of conscience. This report that we are giving, these observations, I think these are observations of conscience. This must be appreciated. We should not, resort to blackmailing, people getting offended easily, creating a psychosis of fear. No, we should not do that. We should know that we have the right to produce documents to guide this committee. I concur with that report that we can't agree with the report that has been produced. The report that we have created, I think it will guide better. And I hope it will even assist further if we can, if I was expecting, honorable members to say, let us look into this report that we have produced. What are the reasons? If I want to quote what Dr. Mtseha said, I think our document is one of the superior persuasive measures, which I thought the honorable members will see it as a way we are trying to persuade them. We really want to see this matter rested. But it shouldn't be rested, satisfying the ruling party. Because they have a political party line that they are following. And then I think they can hide it in many sentences, but it is very clear. So we as political parties and as members of this committee, we also have the way we see things and the way we think we must include in this report. And I know you have reminded us, we did vote that the public protector should come. We said initially that the public protector must come here. Obviously, we lost vote. But this is one of the reasons why I think, this report that they say they support, they don't support what we have brought here, is lacking credibility. And, I want to tell you why this is frustrating further. I remember Honorable I just want to quote your surname very well. Mahambe Thala. In the last meeting when I was here, she said very, very vividly that the public protector never brought the report in Parliament. The President said today, contradicting that, he said, the Honourable President said the public protector submitted the report. He said it just 1 hour, 2 hours ago. So you see how we lack information. How this information is not even sufficient for us to arrive in saying, no, the president can't pay anything and so on. So I want to add my voice that report that has been submitted is not a report of the Honorable James Selfe. We were part of it. And then we support. And if you reject this report, then I think we must all agree, and I want to add what Honorable Sarte said, we must all agree that we are not actually applying our conscience as honorable members. we are actually reducing ourselves into following what our political parties are saying. There's no doubt about it. It's like that. And to reject this report should not be taken as a sin. We reject it, and then
Which report?
The report that our report, we think, should be included in that. We need to look into it and add what we say in our report to the main report of the committee. So, in another way, in rejecting to agree with the report of the minister should not be seen as a way of delaying. We are not delaying. We are just providing a report of conscience. Thanks, Chair.
I just want to remind the honourable members that the issue of how the Public Protector's report ended up in Parliament is captured in the previous report that was adopted by the House. Right? It was a range of letters that was exchanged, and the President wrote to Parliament and attached that report to Parliament. So I just wanted to clarify that point with you, Honourable Pluama.
Chair. Thank you.
Okay. It's free education. I've seen the hand of the Honourable Coleman, followed by the Honourable Mochecha, and we must really not go around in circles here, and the Honourable Mulder. Now we'll come to you. There's still another 2 or 3 names below that.
Okay. Chair, thank you. The other day, I alluded to the fact that there's a feeling that you are closing your and the recommendations because you thought you needed to caucus further so that you can then submit to the House Chair. You didn't talk about writing or resuscitating a report. So that's what I think it's a pity because really, otherwise we could have sat down yesterday because majority of you were here and looked at those observations one by one and the recommendation as they were. And I just want to us to have a clear understanding that when we started, we elected a chairperson. And according to the rules of this House, the chair of a committee is the one that is responsible for coming up with the reports or minutes or whatever. So it cannot be that then, while we are in the middle of addressing a particular matter, if we are to refer to conventional issues or conventional ways of doing things, we cannot then say when we are in that process of addressing certain issues, and then we are taken aback again to, to deal with other things. If we wanted to redraft the report, we could have done so. I think we discussed, because the report was so thick, we ended up coming up with a 9-pager report, of which you were part of, and you agreed, Mr. Swart, Honorable Swart. The only area where you couldn't agree, that you wanted to apply yourselves more, you needed more time to apply your minds on, were on the findings and the recommendations. And that could have taken us to the conclusion yesterday of that report. We really don't want you to rubber stamp. Hence, the process was quite open and everybody participated. Where we thought we needed to vote, there was that opportunity to vote. We just want you to play within the process, not to rubber stamp, because I don't think we are all in a political arena here. And we want to be convincing and to be convinced. And where we're not convinced, therefore, we cannot be accused of playing the majority. Yes, in politics it's about numbers, unfortunately. That's why we fight for numbers. We need to win the debates and arguments, or otherwise, really, we cannot therefore force things to others. I will appeal that we start where we ended yesterday, and really, we cannot go back to the report. We just start where we ended yesterday. We can retable that report and then look at those findings. And if there's anything, we can go one by one, Honorable Swart, one by one as we had started yesterday. If you feel this document of yours has some of those things, then let's go one by one and see. You can then argue to say, no, we don't agree with this. Nothing stops you from doing that. When we come to the other one, you say, yes, we agree. If we don't find any point of convergence, we can't force it. And then we continue like that and finish off. Really, instead of fighting over documents, I don't think you have that authority to come with your own report. There's only one source of that, which is the chairperson, or the secretariat through the chairperson. Thanks, Chair.
Honorable Macheka.
Honorable Chairperson, I think the key words here are playing within the process and playing the game according to the rules. And I think as a committee, we have really thus far done exceptionally well, because we agreed on a process. We followed that process. Now, this process took us to a point where we agreed that a report must be produced. The report was produced. We considered it together as a committee, and we came to the determination that it should be redrafted in a particular way. And that was done. And the report was brought to us. And we went through the report and agreed, reached the third point stage where we said what was left was to generate findings and recommendations. That's where we left the matters. So the only situation that arose was that the opposition parties said they were not yet ready to present findings and recommendations. They needed time to go and do so. And I think the chairperson was very generous. He agreed to that, and also offered us an opportunity to do that before 8 o'clock this morning. And all of us went away with a single understanding that we had to prepare findings and recommendations. So this meeting today cannot be about submissions of documents or reports. It can only be about a discussion of the findings and recommendations from both sides. So it's about engagement on findings and recommendations. So I really, with due respect, want to agree that any document or report today has no status because none of us had a mandate flowing from the process to go and draw up a report or make a submissions. So, Chairperson, I am encouraged by the fact that Honorable Singh and Honorable Swart don't appear to be married to this report. I can see that they are aware that it was out of order to bring a report. So
No, the member is very visionary at the moment.
So
allow the member to continue.
I think, to give you the benefit of the doubt, use it as your internal document. We don't want to see it. We want to hear your findings and recommendations. Let's take forward the process in terms of engagement on findings and recommendations. I thank you, Chairperson.
The Honourable Mulder.
Thank you, Chairperson. I hear the Honourable Motshega says he doesn't want to see this document. I'm afraid you're going to see much more of it, whether you like it or not. If I may come back to the Honourable Coleman just now, Chairperson, she referred to the question of democracy and politics is about numbers. No, it's not. It's not merely about numbers, it's about constitutional principles as well. But that's something that will be sorted out perhaps in a different forum. And you can go there with an argument about numbers, we'll go there with an argument about constitutional principles, and then we'll see where we go. In regard to the Honourable Motsega's point just now, nothing is out of order as far as I'm concerned, Chairperson. This committee is in the process of finalizing a report. There's no rule that says at a certain stage you're only allowed to speak about this aspect of a report. There's no such rule. The committee has not finalized its work. We are absolutely within our right to put on the table what we've done. And unfortunately, the Honourable Motsega is of the view that my two colleagues don't feel strongly about that. Maybe that's a misunderstanding perhaps, because I can assure you we all feel very strongly about the report in its entirety. The Honourable Breitenbach correctly pointed out that it's not new. When we participated and came to this committee, we did not so do unconditionally. We never did that. And we could not do that after our experience in the first and the second ad hoc committee. You remember at the first day when I came here, I said I was not going to participate to have my time wasted. So we came here. On the first occasion, we took a point in limine to explain to the majority party that we think that you're out of order, but that we think that the process is wrong, but we are prepared to go along not unconditionally. And we did exactly that. We accepted the program, and what was the program? The program was to go and do an inspection in loco at Nkandla. And we said, fine, let's all go and have a look. But that's not where the program stops. Proposals were made from both sides that we should call people. It may be a coincidence, but only the people suggested by that side of the committee were allowed to come. And not one person on this side of the committee was allowed to participate. Now, don't you think that would have had an effect on the good faith and cooperation within the committee? I think it did have a huge effect on that whole process. So we feel very strongly about the document, and in terms of the first phase of the document, and let me just try to explain that once again. I think there's agreement amongst everybody in this committee that the first phase of the document, which we agreed upon, we still all agree upon that it stands. The question is what happens subsequent to that. And we came to the point where we need to discuss the last part of the report. And we feel that part of that last part should include the document as we presented it in its entirety, because that, as far as we are concerned, gives the correct constitutional principles and position. It's one thing to refer to the resolutions of the House. I would like to look a little bit beyond that, and there's another document called the Constitution, which gives Parliament the right to do oversight. And I think we failed in that when we decided not to allow certain people to come here. If I may come to the proposal put on the table, yes, it comes from the ANC, in terms of the findings, which we also received today. There's these number of bullets, and then the recommendations. If I may assist the ruling party chairperson, I think you are completely, totally outside the mandate of the Ad Hoc Committee. What happened here was, we went on an oversight visit to Nkandla. Somehow we changed our mind along the road in terms of what we saw, and now we are doing an oversight of public works and what happened basically there. Where is that in the mandate of what we are supposed to do? The Minister of Police indicated in his report that the basis for his report is 5.9. Paragraph 5.9 of Ad Hoc Committee 2's recommendation. And what is that? The committee recommends that the matter of what constitutes security and non-security upgrades at the President's private residence be referred back to the Cabinet for determination, etc., etc. And the Minister went along in his report to do that. In these proposed findings of the ANC, there's nothing about that. Nothing. No findings in terms of what is security or non-security. No findings in terms of what the President should pay or should not pay. We are busy in terms of your proposals. No opulence, exaggeration of scope, no value for money spent, etc., etc. These proposals, these findings, do they have no view in terms of the Minister's report? Because I'm trying to understand the words. The closest I would come to that is the two last bullets. The second last one says, the report of the Minister of Police responds to the House resolution. English is not my first language. What are we trying to say with response? Are we trying to say that we agree with the Minister's report, or do we say the Minister's report agree with our resolution that came in the first place from the second Ad Hoc Committee? With all due respect, Chairperson, if I look at and then you come to the recommendations themselves, I don't know what the mandate for these recommendations would be, because they are surely not the mandate given to this committee by the resolution of the House. These recommendations deal with trying to put things in perspective, trying to correct what was wrong in terms of process, steps to be taken, civil, disciplinary, etc., etc. Am I wrong if I say that the report of the Minister of Police dealt with the question what is security and what is non-security, and if the President should pay, if any, at all or nothing? And that's what the Minister's report says. He came back, he said, I'm only dealing with those 4 issues, the kraal and the chickens and all those nice things, and the swimming pool. And he found that none of them, nothing to be repaid. I don't find one word in your proposed findings or recommendations that deal with those things. I'm suggesting, Chairperson, that you are completely outside your own mandate in terms of the committee. But be that as it's may, that is your problem, because you are very much convinced that this is the solution. We've put on the table that we think should be in the report. And if you look at our observations, they deal directly with the issues expressed by the Minister of Police in terms of what was expected of him in the first place. That's why we say, clearly our observation is, yes, the President did benefit in terms of what happened there. Yes, this is not a security feature. Those are our observations. But you don't think that those things are relevant. Chairperson, it was earlier mentioned that we are talking about divorce procedure, perhaps. the ruling party must put on the table, and they've put on the table what they've got. It seems that we agree to the point where we came yesterday, and then it seems that we will have to put two different positions on the table and let the committee take a decision. Because I can assure you, and I know that I'm speaking on behalf of my colleagues, we are not prepared to move away from the point of departure that we took, and we tried to convince you from the beginning that you are wrong in terms of the constitutional reality, in terms of this whole process.
The Honourable Beekman, followed by the Honourable Kwankwa, the Honourable Breitenbach.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. I quickly perused the new document that the colleague spoke about. In some instances, it's a verbatim repeat of the submission we received on the 23rd of June. They even refer to the same novel. But I think that the fundamental issue, and the two colleagues refer to divorce, I think it's the first divorce in the second ad hoc committee where we fundamentally disagree in terms of the process and the role of Parliament, and also the resolutions of the House. Because we have dealt with a lot of the issues, and a lot of the issues that is currently raised in your improved document is still the same issues in terms of process that was raised during the second ad hoc committee phase. So I think to go now back to process at this stage, where we must deal with the findings and recommendations, is really, I think, not in order. We must look at the findings and recommendations and deal with that. To raise points in limine, and this document, and it's even in a review format typed. So if that is the motive, I mean, then we must really ask what is the next step. And I think we must really focus on the task. And this document is not really taking note of the findings that we made when we visit Nkandla in loco. It's not really speaking to that. So that is a major issue, I think, a major fault line in the submission from that side. So I think we must go back to where we are tonight in terms of findings and recommendations, deal with it. We can't rehash the second ad hoc committee. We've dealt with that process a long time ago. And it's also maybe about the role of Parliament. Maybe we've got a different take on what is the role of a Parliament, what is the role of a strong Parliament vis-à-vis other institutions. So that is, I think, also an issue that maybe fundamentally is on the table tonight. And Parliament must play its role. We've also referred to that previously. We can't source that out. We must make decisions. We must reflect on our findings and recommendations and take it to the House and debate it there. That's our role. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Kwankwa.
Thank you very much, Chair. Indeed, I wish to concur with my colleagues, in particular, Honourable Corne Melda towards the end. By saying that, remember, the point of divergence happened when, as a committee, we did not agree to call certain individuals to appear in front of it. When we had that point of divergence, then it was unlikely that would converge or reach a point of convergence towards the end. Because then our default position is that if we were to come up with findings and so on, we run the risk of coming up with findings that contradict the findings of the report of the public protector, which we said right from the beginning that it is what we should actually follow. But the other issue, which is also important, is that in terms of these observations and whatnot, I think we did capture, to a certain extent, what we've been discussing in the committee. But the point that we have not completely run away from as the opposition is that there was undue benefit. And I think that emphasizes that point. But indeed, I think the point of divergence happened during the time when we did not allow a situation as a committee to call certain individuals to come and appear in front of it. That's a problem. Thank you.
Honourable Breitenbach, followed by the Honourable September.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm largely covered by the Honourable Mulder. I just want to stress again what the Honourable Singh said. The document provides context to our observations, and I just see no difficulty with it at all. And for the Honourable Beekman to suggest that it doesn't speak to what we saw in Nkandla, then he clearly hasn't read the observations, because the observations are quite obviously about what we saw in Nkandla.
Honorable September.
Chair, I thought we should maybe just let me just read this again, because the references are made every time to why you did what you did right at the beginning and why you are at the beginning again. And then there are references made to quite a range of other rules of Parliament, and then the justification within that. And our argument that we are putting forward comes from the following. If you look at the rule that speaks about the establishment of an ad hoc committee, in that rule it specifies very much what, how it must be composed, how in the House it must be put together, and very clearly what its mandate is. And even in relation to the clause 138 that are being mentioned all the time, it says very specifically an ad hoc committee has those of the powers listed in Rule 138 only as are specified in the resolution or decision establishing the committee. What is it that we have done wrong in relation to that? But if you look at the other parts of the clauses also, it says that the ad hoc committee may only be established for the performance of a specific task. And that's the clause you don't want to accept. That's the one that you don't agree with. That's the one that takes you back to the public protector, takes you back to all the others, takes you back to the DA document, which the other parties has now been cajoled into, all of those kind of things. Now, clearly, this is where we are. So I'm not sure what it is that you are disagreeing with us, because you are asking us now to make us, if we are the entire National Assembly sitting here and asking us to change that entire way of how this committee has been put together. It has been said over and over, if you've missed your opportunity at the last ad hoc committee, it can't be right that you then want to resurrect and start all over again. And again, it takes us completely outside of the establishment of this committee and what its mandate should be. And I think to not adhere to that is just really unfortunate. Thank you, Chair. I propose that we move.
See, honourable members, I can't see with the arguments that you're raising that you are finding one another, quite frankly. You are justifying the positions that are there. And the more and more you repeat of what was said before further reinforces that position. I'm now going to allow members who haven't spoken yet. First, the opportunity I've seen, the Honourable Dlakude, and then the Honourable Smith had his hand, and then the Honourable Singh, followed by the Honourable Gamede.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I thought when we first take our oath after the elections, we promised South Africans that we are going to serve them honestly. So, coming to this committee, Chairperson, I just want to remind ourselves that on the 20th of July, we went to Pietermaritzburg. On the 21st, we received a report from the Minister of Police as per the House resolutions, and he was responding to the previous ad hoc committee's recommendations about those features which we deemed to be non-security features. On the 22nd, we went to Nkandla. What the minister presented to us is what we saw at Nkandla. And while we were at Nkandla, Honourable Chairperson, all of us, as different political parties who went to Nkandla, I'll remind you who those parties are. It was the ANC, DA, IFP, ACDP, Freedom Front Plus, NFP, AIC, UDM, and Ahang SA. These are the parties who were represented and who are still represented in this ad hoc committee. What we saw there, Honourable Chairperson, no one can say that we didn't have an agreement on what we saw on the ground.
and we agreed that the state was defrauded and that all those people who defrauded the state must be brought to book. That is our agreement. Some were shocked, some were embarrassed, we reacted in many ways. But the shocking part of it, Chairperson, that shocked me the most, I didn't want to talk about this, but I think it's high time we talk about this, is that some of the opposition parties said that by bringing us to Nkandla, you killed our electioneering strategy, because Nkandla is their electioneering strategy. I thought it's time I mentioned this. I didn't want to bring this here. I wanted to bring it somewhere else, whether on our debates or something else. But I think it is time now that we raise these issues.
I think we must leave some of these things for the debate in the House.
No, we'll add, don't worry. Then, Chairperson, we saw the poor workmanship, we saw the clinic, the crawl, all those features which were deemed to be non-security features. The generals from SABC and from the South African National Defence Force explained to us that they were actually for security reasons. They were security features. The removal of the animals from the family's kraal to that new kraal was as a result of the security features that are installed there. Then, Chairperson, we came back, deliberated in that committee. We were in agreement on almost everything. Even the interviews that we made there, we were in agreement. Then coming back, we agreed there that as soon as the Speaker referred the response by the Minister of Public Works, who was also responding to the recommendations of the previous ad hoc committee, we came back here. Both ministers came back to present to the committee. So, to come back now and cry foul that some of us, we don't know about these things, then how can you be part of a report if you don't know everything, the information that was contained to the previous report? How can you be part of that report? Because here people signed that they are part of this report. This report is the very same report that Honorable Salf brought to this committee, of which we rejected. They've added only the findings and recommendations. Then, Chairperson, the problem that we are facing here is that the honorable members want us as this committee to say that no, the president is responsible for defrauding the state, so the blame must go to the president. What then will happen to the people who defrauded the state? What will happen to those officials? What will happen to the person who was managing this project? What will happen to those contractors? It can't be. We've been saying this point that you cannot try to find a blame where there is none. And as for the payment, that question of payment arises because of those features which were deemed to be non-security features. And we said in the previous ad hoc committee that we are not security experts. And we cannot say as members of parliament that these features are not security features. Then we also said the public protector is not a security expert. And I'm still saying that. It's not a security expert. So we cannot just, as parliament, when the report is brought here, then we rubber stamp and say, this is correct. What is in that report? We don't agree with it. We went to Nkandla and we saw what is in Nkandla. So as parliament, we are entitled to come up with our own report. We cannot just go and support something that is not there. We can't. So, Chairperson, I would suggest that those who divorced us on the second ad hoc committee, they must live with it. We dealt with all the documents, Chairperson. We are not going to go back. So our role here, the point of departure yesterday was that we are going to deal with findings and recommendations. So, Chairperson, let me make another point. You know, the obsession with the state president is a problem in this parliament. Because members of the opposition parties, they are so obsessed with the president, they don't want to see anything. Everything that goes wrong in South Africa must be attached to the president. It's not fair. Blame the person if the investigations point that the person did wrong. On that one, we agree. And we also agree, Chairperson, that all the monies must be recovered from those people who defrauded the state. And there is a process already that the SIU is undertaking. So, Chairperson, we cannot come to this meeting as members of this glorious movement of ours and be blamed for our majority.
Okay.
It is not by default. We won the elections. It is not our fault that one member will be serving in all the committees of parliament. It's not our fault. They must live with it. Those are the results of the conference. As for the elections, yes, Chairperson.
Honourable Member, you must wrap up now, please.
Yes, I'm trying to do that, Chairperson, but the facts must be stated. Thank you. Chairperson, and also on those features, in Nkandla, we saw 2 pieces of land. The one land belongs to President Zuma and his family, that their private residence is in that land. But all the other features are in the Ingwenyama Trust land. Then they'll say, okay, there is no title deed. Yes, in the rural areas, there are no title deeds. They occupy the land through a certificate called a permission to occupy or right to occupy. Then, Chairperson, I don't mind having a divorce if people think, if that is what people want. We cannot be held at ransom, Chairperson. We are within our constitutional mandate to do this work as Parliament. Our role is not to rubber stamp everything. Our role is to interrogate and deal with the issues before us. Our role is not to deal with rumors or to be obsessed with other things. With those words, Chairperson, I reject this report with the contempt it deserves. Thank you.
Honourable Smith, please, honourable members, I want to take this process forward.
I hope I'm going to help you, Chair. Thank you. Chair, when we started, and I think it has been repeated so many times, we indicated that we understood that we're going to come and deal with recommendations, observations, and findings. Dr. Matole repeated that. Now, the opposition party have come up with 18 observations, whatever you want to call it, observations or finding, 18 of them and 1 recommendation. The ANC has come up with 11 findings and 4 recommendations. Why don't we go through them one by one? And let's throw out those that must be thrown out and live with those that must be lived with. Because we've been saying that continuously. All we've been saying is we don't think it's necessary to have the context. That was not the agreement. Keep your context and use it as your argument. We don't want it as the document. That's all that we've said. Yeah. But we've never said your recommendations mustn't be there. So I'm suggesting we do that from both sides, Chair, and we can deal with it. But, Chair, just one thing so that, because we can't leave this unchallenged. Dr. Mulder says our report doesn't talk to anything about our mandate, and then he limits the mandate to SAPS. You said the police. That's what you spoke about, the mandate from the House. But let's remind you that DPW, through the minister, also came, and that was referred to us. So I could also say that you don't refer to anything of DPW, but you don't even do that because you refer to it in your report. So you're talking from both sides of your mouth, because you're saying we don't refer to SAPS. You did you refer to both and we refer to both. I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing that we must say, Chair, because it's continuously being raised, that we acted in bad faith because we didn't call. Because that's what the chief whip of the majority party said. He said you could call. But it's the committee that decides on its process. We can't be dictated to by what the chief whip said in the House. Of course, that will guide us, but the committee here amongst ourselves will take a decision. And if we've taken a decision who and who not to call, you can't call that in bad faith. He gave us a broad guideline, but we determined the final decision. So I thought we must clear those things here, because it almost seems like we've been acting in bad faith and we were compelled to call. We took a decision not to call. The final thing, Chair, you see, and this is why I think the ANC is saying, we think you were acting in bad faith. Because just now somebody said, when we got to the point where we disagreed on whether we call certain people or not, it became clear that we're not going anywhere. If that was the case, after we took that final decision, why were you here yesterday? Because we took that decision more than a week ago. Why were you here yesterday? Why were you here the day before? Because you're coming now and saying you had a hard and fast decision. And yet you sat here and you made us sit on yesterday, we, all of us together, trying to reach each other. But today, Chair, we get told that no, they had taken a decision a long time ago that, well, once we took that decision, it was a fait accompli that we were going to disagree. I think, Chair, let's try and meet each other with the 18 points and the 11 points, and let's disagree where we disagree. I don't think it's time to divorce, but really, if that's where we must go to, then we must go there. Well, that's fine.
The honourable members, I think when you speak, you're going to assist us. I now see more hands going up. And you are repeating and repeating what you have said earlier. And I'm not going to add any more new names to this list. I have the Honourable Singh and the Honourable Gamede.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Chair, you know, I always believe in hope. We must live in hope. I know of many divorced couples who went through acrimonious divorces, and today they're living happily ever after.
Honourable Singh, we sound like the Social Development Committee.
No, because he spoke of, maybe I should be there. The reason for that is when the truth comes one day, after that couple have realized that they blamed each other for nothing, and the truth emerges, then they'll say, no, we shouldn't have divorced. So maybe the truth will prevail one day in how we are dealing with these issues. But having said that, Chair, I just want to respond for the records to Honourable September about the ad hoc committee. I don't want to point hands, sorry. About the role of this ad hoc committee. I mean, here's the ATC, 2nd of June. The Chief Whip of the Majority Party moved that the House establishes an ad hoc committee. The committee to, 1, consider the report by the Minister of Police dated 28th May in reply to the recommendations in the report of the ad hoc committee to consider the report as adopted by the National. So we are here basically not to look at public works and the frauding and defrauding. We went through that already, right? So that's why Nkandla is not going to finish. There are other steps that need to be taken, but as a consequence of what we saw, our main task here, is to do this. And that's the mandate we've received. And in exercising that mandate, it says, sub 4, exercise those powers in Rule 138 and the rules applicable to committees and subcommittees generally that may assist in carrying out its function. That's our mandate. We can't change the mandate of the House. So we've got to give a view on what do we think about the Minister of Police's report. Was his finding something that we can agree with, we don't agree with it, and why we don't agree with it? That is the mandate of this committee, and that's how far as we can go. As far as the general powers of the committees, I mean, it's wide-ranging, and I don't want to repeat all of them, except to say that we can summon any person to appear before it, to give evidence, receive petitions, etc. So we have wide-ranging powers. So in our view, that is the function of this here in terms of the rules of this House, and it was stated in the resolution. But I think, Chair, we on this side of the House, and of the unanimous view and conviction that there is no way we are going to put pen to paper and say that the president of the country who lives at Nkandla did not benefit from the use of state resources on non-security features. And I think that is our point of departure for us on this side of the House. We are saying to you that there are non-security features at Nkandla, which even the Minister of Police did not make a finding on. The Minister of Police focused on 4 issues that were mentioned by the public protector. 4 issues, and we know what those 4 issues are. But yet, when this committee met on the 13th of November, the resolution of the 13th of November also asked him to look at the SIU report, to put together a technical team of qualified security experts from state security, SAPs, undertake an evaluation of the existing security features at the private residence of the President to assess whether the implemented security features are secure and to evaluate the concerns raised by the SIU report. Now, in the SIU report, which forms part of our mandate to look at, they speak about a 4 million rand installing of air conditioning in the private Zuma residence, in the SIU report. They write of a 4.5 million rand building 2 roads for the use of the Zuma family. They write, not us. They write of 3.3 million rand on landscaping around private residences. The SIU report, not even the PP. Let's say we don't like whatever the PP said. That's what that report is saying. Now, the Minister of Police didn't investigate these issues. He selectively chose to go to 4 issues. And then Chair, Honorable Chair, and I say with respect, after our visit, what comes to light? You look at media articles, you look at statements made by certain people. We were told when we went there that the security system did not work at all. We went in there, they say it did not work. So, and we asked, listen, what did you do? How do you manage security of the president, which is our concern? He's our president, right? He's our president. And talking about election, we're certainly not talking about elections and what have you. Nkandla is controlled by the IFP. And even in by-elections recently, we won the wards. So it's not about electioneering here, but it's about a principle.
I'll repeat what I said to the Deputy Chief Whip of the ANC. There are arguments arising now that is debate in the House.
Okay, Chair, let me complete.
Really, it's got nothing to do with us.
Right,
here.
let me complete this argument, Chair. That pursuant to our visit, where we saw these monitors lying, and Major General Zuma said these monitors never worked. Right? Here is a statement by the person, Mr. Magubane, who installed the security system, and there are photographs of the security system working.
What is the source of that article?
The source is an article in the Sunday Times.
So it's a newspaper article?
So, yeah.
So, okay.
And he's quoted. In the photos, I'm just saying what he said. In the photos, one can see that the monitors showing footage from the cameras on the perimeter walls and at the gate are fully functional on the president's property. Now, I'm quoting him.
Honorable Singh, really, we can't introduce newspaper articles here as arguments.
This is what Mr.
for
Magubane,
something that has
Chair,
not been formally
respect.
tabled. Really.
This is what Mr. Magubane said about this. So that means we were misled. I am contending that we were misled by Major General Zuma and the people referred to when they said to us this thing never worked. Because here is the person who says how much he was paid to do the job. It worked. And he's challenging anybody to say that it did not work. And I think this is relevant to the work of this committee. Chair, I don't know if one can reject the statement of
give Honorable Singh an opportunity to finish.
Yeah. I don't know if one can reject what a person says in quotes. A media won't quote him out of context. And if we were honest with ourselves, bring him and ask him. Bring him and ask him. But we didn't allow one person other than the Minister of Police and Minister of Public Works to come. Not even the landscaper or the person who was, herding the goats. Nobody. And that was the cardinal mistake that we made, Chair.
Just before I give the Honorable Gameda, the Honorable Chair Issa had nothing to say thus far. I'm quite interested to hear what he has to say.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I hope I'm going to be the last speaker now. You know, all the chairpersons have long been deliberating on the same issues, coming up now with the same decisions, same argument.
Chairperson.
Can I just propose that now we proceed?
Why are you interrupting the speaker next to you?
On a point of order, Chair.
The one has been rejected.
No, allow the member to speak, Honourable Member.
One has been rejected, there's the other one. Let us decide what is it that we are doing now about the other one, because this is not going to help us now. It will just go up to 4 o'clock in the morning, saying the same thing, because we can't change what people are not prepared that it should change. Let us proceed, please.
Thank you. The honourable member, what was your issue? Why did you want to
Chairperson,
interrupt the member?
I was worried because my revered friend next to me, colleague rather, was closing the door for all of us.
No, not at all. He's not chairing the meeting.
Okay.
Professor. Did you want to have something to say, Honourable Kubisa?
Okay, but Chair, my worry is that the last sentence from the report of the opposition parties looked like it was intimidating. I'm here to say no one must feel intimidated by that last sentence.
Which sentence is that?
The last one, that the report of the Minister of Police is rejected in its entirety.
Oh.
There could be another room to it, that we go back to the entire...
Go back to Nkandla.
Not to Nkandla, but to the entire documents, both documents, and then we're able to look into but why is the Honorable Mahambe Hlala interjecting when I speak, Chair?
No. Honourable members, don't chair from where you're sitting. Allow Honourable Kubisa to complete.
What is happening now? Now, we could comb out what is, because the opposition parties are pointing to the non-security features, and they've put down them on paper, black and white. Here are the non-security features that we want to be adamant about. And then the ruling party says, we feel that these are security features. Then we could take the debate that way and say, I think as we debate, it will take us closer to the conclusion. Why do you say these are non-security features, and why do you say they are security features? I agree with the Honourable Njaisa that the possibility is that because we seem to be circumlocating around similar facts here, similar issues, we may talk until cows come home. But something must project us towards the conclusion. Chairperson, thank you very much.
Honourable Gameda is the last speaker.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think one for the record, Honourable Moda, it was Honourable Singh who proposed in Pietermaritzburg that we call the ministers. So it did not come from this side. That was for the record, and we said to move forward so that we tell South Africans the truth, that we call our own. No, that's not correct. Now, the second issue is that in reference to what Honourable Singh said, we all went to Nkandla, and we saw those monitors lying there, in the whole control room. I'm asking myself, what type of patriotic South African would say, one, those monitors must never be installed, so that the president is left insecure, okay? That is what, because no money should be spent so that the president is exposed. Because that is what we saw. All those apparatus, some were still in boxes, and that is the control room. Control room controls everything about security, and that control room is not finished. So they cannot control the entire property because the control room is not finished. I think from this side, one thing is clear, even from that visit, that due to that, one, the president is not secure. Two, we didn't see any comfort there. And three is that the things that were said, there was no undue benefit. Because everything was explained. The animal enclosure was put up there so that animals do not disturb the census. That was the reason. So in moving forward, all we need to do, we're not afraid of a divorce. We cannot be, put at ransom in that way. We move forward. If we have got different views, let's accept that. We've got different views. We must come to a conclusion. We don't feel that we really support, as the ANC, even the report of the Minister of Police and the Minister of Public Works.
Chairperson?
No, I don't want to get too involved in a custody and maintenance battle as well. Those settlements you must deal with outside, Honourable Swart.
Chairperson?
You want supporting? Maybe we should arrange child maintenance grants.
Chairperson, may I say something? No, in lighter vein, I'm not adverse to a divorce, but I think
you see there's some music.
I'm not adverse to a divorce, but I think we will not be able to get divorced because I think nobody wants the children. No, Chairperson, if I just make correct, I don't want a misunderstanding to be put out there. For the recall of the Honourable Minister of Police was proposed by Mr. Singh, but the original proposal to call the Honourable Minister came from that side, from the Honourable Dlakude. So just put it out there. Chairperson, I would suggest that we move forward. I don't think we're going to find each other. And Honourable Chairperson, you and your wisdom must decide how we take it further then.
No, I want proposals from the parties. There's two documents in front of us. The one document that was given to me this morning is entitled a draft report from the opposition. That's a document that you have been referring to. And then there's certain proposals under headings, findings and recommendations from the ANC. Honourable Smith?
No, Chair, let's move forward. I want to firmly propose here the second document you spoke about, the findings and recommendations of the ANC, the 11 points that you've put on there. And if you turn the page, Chair, the recommendations, there's 3 recommendations that are there. And just to round it up, Chair, I want to propose that we add 2, and I'll read them slowly for the Secretariat. So we've got 3.
Isn't that out of order? There was a cut-off time for findings and recommendations, and that was it last night. How does the Honourable Member want to add to his document?
No, Honourable Members, let's not be petty about this. There were proposals that if I wanted to say there was an 8 o'clock cut-off time, then I wouldn't even have received the document from the Honourable Breitenbach, really.
Yes, because it came at 8:15, I think. Chair, I was saying my proposal is that the 11, in terms of the findings, there are 11 findings. In terms of the recommendations that were circulated this morning, there are 3. And in light of what was raised in the debate earlier on, I was proposing 2 more. The first one being, Chair, so it will be recommendation number 4. The report of the Minister of Police be adopted. And recommendation number 5, the report of the Minister of Public Works be adopted. We've got that. So, Chair, that is my firm proposal, that gets added to what we agreed to up to the end of business yesterday, which we called, I don't know, the short document or whatever it was, that these 2 pages in terms of recommendations and findings be added to that report, and that be the report of the committee.
Is there a seconder for that proposal? Honourable September? Are there any other different view? Honourable Mulder?
Yes, Chairperson. No, I'm not seconding that report. I feel enlightened that my appeal just now that there are some...
Honourable members, I can't follow, really.
Yes, no, I feel quite excited that the argument I put a little while ago that the recommendations by the ANC did not even refer to the mandate in terms of the two ministers' reports, have found some fertile ground, and that they found it necessary to amend their proposal. So at last we are making progress from that perspective. No. Chairperson, I would like to propose that the report drafted and supported by the 9 other parties be accepted as a report of the committee, obviously taking into consideration and combining that with the first part of what we agreed up till last night.
Okay. Seconded by the Honourable Singh, Honourable Breitenbach. So we have 2 proposals in front of us, Honourable members. I want to deal with the 2 separately from one another. Okay. The first proposal from the ANC refers to the proposed findings and recommendations as amended. Will those in favour raise their hands, please? Make sure you record the names. The voting members, can you please raise your hands? There's 7. And those against that? Honourable Kwankwa, you don't have a vote. You haven't registered, you're not voting. Professor Kubisa, you left your ID at home in KwaZulu-Natal. There's 3 from the opposition who are against that proposal of the ANC. I now put the proposal made by the Honourable Mulder. Will those in favour raise their hands, please? There's 3, and those against raise their hands, please. The same, 7. So it's 7-3, 7 who are against, and 3 in favour. The proposal from the ANC is then adopted. It will be reflected, and the one of the opposition has been defeated, and we'll reflect that as well in the final report. We are then at the point when we will adjourn now. We'll adjourn for a dinner break, which is here in the Marx Building restaurant, and in the restaurant next to us, the new wing, and then we will return at approximately 7:30, where we will formally consider the final report. Honourable Singh.
Chair, before we adjourn, because dinner has its own dynamics.
I don't want to ask which dynamics you're referring to.
No, after dinner will come, our eyes will close here, maybe. Can't we conclude that now? I don't think it's going to take us very long to conclude the business of this committee.
I actually wanted the researchers who are here to capture the recommendations so that we know exactly what we have in front of us. There were changes made to the document last night. Honourable Moshecha, you had your hands up. You had your hand up about what is it? What are you raising?
I had one more addition. I don't know if you can allow me to.
What is the addition?
A recommendation.
Can you speak into the mic, Honourable Member?
A recommendation which reads as follows.
We've already voted on the recommendations. Tell me, what are you raising so that I can make a determination whether it is whatever?
It was really to affirm that the report of the ad hoc of the minister was based on the legitimate resolution of the National Assembly, but I think it may be covered, maybe it's not necessary.
Yes, that was part of the deliberations.
It was based on the constitutional mandate deriving from the House.
That was part of the deliberations that we had yesterday. Okay. Honourable members, if you can just give me another half an hour. I really want them just to capture what has happened now, and then we'll print a copy and we'll have it distributed. So let's return here by 7:45. We should be through with it by 8 o'clock. Okay.
Umenzeli Judas. Huh? Umenzeli Judas. Did you see the way how fast it jumped? This was not even done. Because this stood up and say the old
They're fine.
Sorry?
They're fine.
They are fine. Come on.
Yeah, they are.
Do you mean they spoke after the sitting? Oh.
They laughed and whatnot. Julius walked out of the National Assembly and he sees the white shirts guys. He goes, hey, hey. Then he goes, we're free, we're free.
Your friends, they were scared of the white shirts. But I don't say anything bad about anyone, so I'm never worried about.
The honorable members to the restaurant who said to me they're closing up at 7. The Constitution, the law is based on the Constitution. You know what?
I'm going to have it now. When we come back, they'll say we were under the... Yeah.
What do you propose? That we just adopt the report as amended?
Yeah.
And you will oppose it?
Yeah.
Honorable members, can you just return and take up your seats, please? Something has just been brought to my attention. Can we just get the other members who are in the restaurant also to come back, please? No, it seems to me there are certain members who have made arrangements to leave. And it will cause a difficulty. The last flight, I think, to Johannesburg is at 9 o'clock or just after 9 o'clock. So I just want to make a proposal to you, that's all. It's just a proposal. I'm not including your report, Honorable Mulder. I just want to bring... Can we get the Honorable Gamede and the Honorable Ngobo also to come back, please? Are they coming? Thank you. No, tenants can vote. No, the Honorable Singh has persuaded me. And if the meeting agree, I will put the question like that to the meeting in terms of the report. Honorable members can remember yesterday there was agreement up to that point before findings and recommendations, right? And the proposal from the Honorable Singh is that we should actually consider the report. I want to hear if members are in agreement with that, without those things having been affected to it. Honorable Singh, give your... No, we had two proposals.
Yeah, Chairperson.
But then I must put the final report to the meeting as well. Honorable Singh?
Chairperson, yeah, what I was suggesting is I think there's common understanding here. The report that was tabled from our side has been rejected, voted on, accepted. No. But the report that was tabled by the ANC has two additions that was proposed by Honorable Smith, that the report of the Minister of Police be adopted. That's the one. Second one is the report of the Minister of Works be adopted. Now, I think we understand those amendments. We've got the original document, and they can type it at some stage. And we can, if you want to re-vote on that, we can, and then we conclude our business. Because all we were going to wait for, Chair, was for it to be typed in, because nothing else can now be amended. Just those two items to be typed in and brought back. And that's why we're going to come back.
And you're proposing that we do that now?
I propose we do it now, even if as amended, in writing later.
Where's your Advocate Venara? What is your view?
We've done it before in the Justice Committee where we vote on a report as to be amended. I don't think it's there.
You happy with that?
I don't think there's any objection.
Can you propose, please?
Hear the view of the learned advocate.
Yeah, that's why I asked Advocate Venara, just briefly, in terms of process.
No, Chair, the committee can agree to the report as amended. There is no rule that prohibits that. The only risk inherent in that is we're agreeing to something that is not before us. What I would recommend to mitigate that risk is then the document be circulated before it is reported to the House.
Honourable Smith.
Yeah, Chair, we can live with that as it is. On condition, Chair, and we must give you that permission to do that, on condition, Chair, that if we are agreeing to that now, when it does appear in the ATC, there is no contestation, because we didn't see the actual final document that you're talking about. So I'm happy if we go that route, Chair, with the understanding that we'll add those two and we adopt it. But we don't want to be caught procedurally unaware.
I think inherently that is exactly what Advocate Vanara is saying, the inherent risk involved in it. Right, Honourable Mulder? You don't have a view? There's inherent risk involved in it. Let's go and have it done and come back, please. Thank you.
Yes, 1, 2, 1, 2.